Welcome to Bold, Series 3 of Cooking with an Architect. I'm your host, Chun-Li Reid, and in this year's series, we're focusing on homelessness within the UK. Here on this show, we aim to highlight one of the 5 senses in architecture called taste, a sense that is often not considered in the design process. However, today on this show, we will explore architecture through food by getting our guest architect to create a dish that answers this question. What does architecture mean to you? Our guest architect today is Jonathan Harvey, a socially conscious architect, deeply passionate about leveraging design to create meaningful social impact. As a co-founder of Jonathan Harvey in 2012, Jonathan has played a key role in developing transformative architectural spaces. One of his most notable projects is Shelter from the Storm, which we are standing in here today. A pioneering initiative that provides shelter and support to those experiencing homelessness. This project amplifies Jonathan's commitment to using architecture as a force for good, focusing on creating honest, impactful environments that promote social equity and inclusion. He actively explores how design and the construction supply chain can empower communities and foster social mobility. We are also joined by Shelia Scott, the dedicated CEO of Shelter from the Storm, a safe haven for individuals facing life's most challenging circumstances. Shelia will share her invaluable insights in what it takes to support vulnerable communities and the inspiration behind creating such a vital space. Additionally, she'll be guiding us as architects and designers to better understand the types of spaces we need to design, truly support and uplift those in need. Please help me in welcoming our special guest, Jonathan Harvey, and community personnel, Shelia Scott. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me in the kitchen today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
It's okay. Thank you as well for allowing us to cook in our kitchen. I'm very excited for today's episode and what you'll be making. So guys, this is Jonathan Harvey, if you didn't know, and this is Shelia Scott. So they're both joining us today and going to be cooking for us. Well, we're going to be joint cooking, if that makes sense. So please help us and just tell us what you'll be making for us today and talk us through a little bit about your ingredients.
Okay, yes. So we're going to be making a traditional focaccia. And to go alongside the focaccia, we're going to be making a cannellini and sage and roasted tomato kind of small plate. The idea is all about kind of sharing. So it's like, normally we'd have this, these dishes came from, in our studio, we cook our lunches every other Friday. We have a studio lunch and 2 people cook for the team. And we have this now kind of almost this kind of cookbook, all the dishes people have made.
That's cool.
And so I selected from many of the dishes that the team have made, these 2 dishes. So normally it's one dish which will normally be part of a selection of dishes that we'd share, and we'd have a big focaccia in the middle and we'd tear it and eat together. So that's kind of the origins. And then I guess in terms of the ingredients, the focaccia is it's a kind of a very classic, simple recipe. We're all very busy, and so it's just strong flour, and then yeast and water, and I guess breads are so simple. That's why it's so lovely. And then trying to make it a bit more interesting, we'll just add some tomatoes to kind of connect to the dish, and then the sage. Just had loads of sage in my garden, so I thought that was a good way to use
sustainable as well.
And sustainable, yes. It's London local sage.
Yes, exactly. And can you just tell us the ingredients that we have today as well? So those who are watching at home, the ingredients list will be in our website, so you can actually get the ingredients and also cook along with us. And you're also joined and welcome to join us in the kitchen. So please let us know.
Yeah, okay. So what we've got, start on the left, we've got our parsley and our sage. And then we've got a little bit of, So we've got some oregano, a bit of smoked paprika, and then just some rock salt, pepper, and that is the onion garlic, that's the one. And then I suppose just in terms of the milk, we've got oat milk, because we always like to kind of make sure that everybody, equitable kind of way of cooking. So you can use I think you can use dairy milk too, but it's really nice with the oats. It cooks down really nicely. And then lemon, garlic, tomatoes that go along in the bean dish.
Oh, that's really exciting. So it's like a vegetarian or vegan?
Vegan, fully vegan.
Okay,
Yes.
that's perfect.
Fully vegan.
It's really interesting. Through all our episodes so far, we've had vegan dishes.
Oh, really?
Oh, no way. So I think maybe it's a trend. I think all architects are vegan, maybe.
No.
No?
So it's like in our office, I think, it's vegan because in our office we never quite know. It's just nice to make it so it's inclusive, so everyone can eat whatever food's on the table. And
We do that. I mean, here we always have a vegan option, just because there will be people who, for religious reasons, for all sorts of reasons, will have to be vegan. The Orthodox Christians at various times they have to be vegan.
Yeah.
Which I only realized quite recently. I thought, they just didn't like the meat version. No, sometimes Orthodox Christians have to be meat-free, completely dairy-free. So we always do that. I think it's nice that we are all looking at that, to be honest. So, it's just like, if you make it nice and tasty, it doesn't have to be an issue. It doesn't have to be, the mean vegetarian that just had something horrible that hadn't got the pork chop in it.
where's the meat? No, it
To be fair, when I was at uni, because when you're studying architecture, sometimes it just costs so much, especially printing and printing and buying materials and all these things. So if you have to budget stuff each week, I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat meat. I'm just going to be vegan, vegetarian, for being at uni, just so I could make it through the year. So yeah, I do like vegetarian dishes and vegan dishes, so they're quite good, to be fair.
Yeah, beans are great for that.
Yeah.
And,
So I want to ask you, what made you become an architect? Before we get into the cooking.
Before we get into cooking, that was a big question. It's kind of there are two reasons I got into architecture, I guess. One, I think it was one of those things that you start the training, but you don't know necessarily you're going to become an architect. And I guess you kind of constantly are validating the decisions you've made. And I guess what I discovered in my journey into architecture, which kind of meant I wanted to go all the way, was that you just meet really interesting people along the way. And you get exposed to so many people like Shelia, for example. Why I would have never met Shelia if I hadn't become an architect. And you get to meet people in such a way that's you're kind of a fly on the wall in their world. And so you learn so much about them, and then that goes for any kind of project. You need to understand your client intimately, because you need to better design as if you were them, when we're
being in their shoes kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so you just get to meet such interesting people, and I guess architecture is a game of just lots of people. So it's not just your clients, it's the team. And I guess I just love working with people. So I think that's what meant that I just kind of kept going. But then at the same time, becoming an architect, they kind of give you this little kind of taste of how to run a business and be a business owner. And I guess that really resonated with me as well. I really enjoy figuring out how to design a business that allows you and gives you the space to do social impact through your work. And
helping people.
Exactly.
And so, what do you want us to start before I ask the next question?
Shall we start with making some bread?
Okay, so I want to ask you as well, and I will ask you the same question in terms of the meaty side of it. And what kind of inspires you to design and to create and all that kind of stuff? Your inspiration.
Yes, do you want me to answer that? Shall I answer that first?
Okay, let Shelia ask first. What inspired you to want to work with vulnerable communities?
Right. I was the pastoral assistant at my local church about 17 years ago when this happened. We had this wonderful song mass, very bells and smells, Anglican tradition, and we were literally stepping over people in the beautiful garden squares in Islington, where I lived with my 5 children, and my church was there. And it seemed to me ridiculous that something that was supposed to be a Christian organisation was doing nothing to support people that were literally living on the streets in our area. So we had a church hall. I basically said, let's do this. We did it one night a week. We joined with the Catholic Church down the road, and they did a night a week, completely independent. We set it up, and we sheltered people experiencing homelessness. We did it on camp beds, and we raised all our own money. I have to say, even in those days, it was very beautiful. We always, I think, which is why I sort of resonate with Jonathan Harvey. We always felt that it was imperative to make a beautiful space for people experiencing homelessness. So we always cooked a beautiful dinner. Everywhere we've been, we've always had a wonderful, freshly cooked dinner that volunteers have made. And then we built it up from there. We got a mirror factory somewhere that somebody loaned us.
Yeah.
That was free. Then we lost that. But we've always had this idea that to make a beautiful space for people, to shelter them, to care for them, and maybe hopefully help them to move on and up somewhere else.
That's good. I like the whole idea in terms of, helping people and just wanting people to feel a part of, like you said, to the whole idea of togetherness, basically. Before I ask you, what do you want me to do with the bread?
Right, let's get some scales and something to put some flour in.
And we need a bowl, right?
Need a bowl, yes.
That bowl? Oh, do you have a big mixing bowl? Very big mixing bowl. Forgot to ask. That one at a time.
Do you fancy that one?
Oh, that's perfect.
Definitely.
That is perfect.
And you said you need
Right.
6 cups.
Okay, so what we need to do first is get the yeast,
Yeast, okay.
and we need to get some warm water.
I got
We also need a little bowl of warm water. It says 110 grams of water, but it's very precise. Maybe a little bit more than that. It just needs to be kind of like warm water. So
I get it out of the tap here. This will be quite hot.
And then for...
no, just like room temperature. So it just needs to, because otherwise it hurts. It kills the yeast.
So we're gonna put the yeast inside this.
So we're going to put the yeast into here with a little bit of water, 110 mils. Just mix it around, give it a couple of minutes to kind of do its yeast thing, and then once we've done that, we can then add the flour and the water, and perfect, right?
Is it too hot to go?
That's perfect, right.
And then a spoon or fork.
So we need
Measuring spoon?
So we need a wooden spoon piece, right?
Oh, to mix in here?
So yeah, that's a good point. No, well, yeah, a little spoon, yeah.
Is that enough? Too much?
That would probably do the job, yeah. So we've got some scissors.
Yes, I do. I dig scissors. I got scissors. So, thousands of pairs of scissors.
They're really
free.
But, yeah, if we get them that way.
Yeah, do this.
Where is it? There's a smaller knife there. Yeah.
Perfect. That one. And then let's stick that on there. Go.
So in the meantime, as I pour this, what inspired you then to design spaces, especially social impact spaces?
What designs me to inspires me to design in the design process?
Yeah. Right. No, in terms of what inspired, was it
draws us to do it?
Yeah, it draws you to want to design spaces and just in general. What's your inspiration behind architecture and the kind of spaces? Is it just everyday people or?
It's a good question. I guess what inspires us is, I guess it's a melting pot of things.
Yeah.
It always starts with the client, and I suppose because they're a really important part of it. When Shelia came to us at the beginning, she gave us amazing post-it notes. She managed to create scale post-it notes of each of the spaces.
Yeah, going to be in the Museum of Modern Art.
Is it?
Yeah, it will be. There is a model of the shelter in a museum in a university in Germany, I think. Where someone has built a model through like a little physical model of it.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, we need to we've got a whisk.
No.
Yes.
We might need to now transfer it to a larger bowl.
Put them in a little space.
To get everything together right now. As you see, the yeast is sticking to the spoon. So as you're doing it, make sure to do it with an actual whisk and not with
Is that going to be too much?
All we can do is we can probably pop into it. Let's pop it in here. and then we'll whisk it. I think it'll be fine because it's quite robust. Say about a whisk. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
About the other whisk.
So I'll put it over here.
So yeah, so Shelia comes ready-made with all this kind of inspirational ideas. And obviously, part of our job is just to listen to Shelia. But then on top of that, I guess there are people we collaborate with. So, this is just to stand just for a couple of minutes. Which
Is he done enough? I think he's...
He probably is. At the same time, we can measure out. Let's measure out the flour and the water at the same time. So
the flour and the water. So the next step we're going to do now, guys, we're going to measure the flour and the water. There's a measuring jug right there.
Perfect. So we just need, I think it's 780 grams of flour.
So wait, with the scales, you press it again. So
You zero.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So 780 grams. So I guess like collaboration is a big part of what we do as well. So it's a lot about. So I guess we talk about like social impact through the work that we do, and I guess there's direct work that we do, which is we're shelved from the store and directly working within that space. But then also,
Oh, cool.
we don't need to sieve the flour. It's just go straight.
You don't need to cook.
So I guess we're going to need to do it in 2 batches.
2 batches, okay.
So I guess we've got 482 there, so which is another 300 after that.
Okay.
So if I could pour that in probably, and then
Okay, yeah.
Do I get to play with it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, right. Let's.
What I have.
So which is another 300 grams of flour, and then we also need basically just you pour it all in a bowl. It's super simple.
Oh.
You basically just get.
I think I might actually make this after this at home because I've always wanted to make breads.
So we've got that's about right.
So our shoe was on the clip.
It's right because it was about 400 and we had 3. It's 780 in total. I think we're good. And then we need 560 of water.
Water, okay. So tap right
Yeah.
There's a tap
It's
right
fine.
there.
Yes.
Sheila, could you get 570 mils of water?
570
570 mils, please.
So that's what inspires you to deal with your friends. I think it's also understanding of problem solving. Solving a problem, trying to create a solution. Because I feel like opposite is all about creating solutions.
Oh, absolutely. Like, but the project is, I guess we begin with a problem which is like,
Just under 600 or is it a little bit less, more?
I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty in there, all in there. And then we need salt.
Salt.
This is the scary bit we forgot. We need 17 grams of salt.
Okay.
So, which is I find it quite amazing how much salt's in it.
I think.
Why don't we center this thing? There you go. You got one of those? Yeah. Cool.
That's it.
And you need how much?
17 grams. It can be give or take. There we go. Nice.
Got it right.
See, guys, that's the architecture in me. We're going literally.
You're spot on.
Right. Who wants to have a little stir?
Yeah.
Go for
When
it.
you get tired, I will help.
With this or with that?
The recipe says that you basically it's designed to go with a stand mixer. So it says you first of all do a 5-minute on a medium turn on a mixer, 5 minutes, then you leave it to stand for 5 minutes, and then you give it a 10 to 15 minute on high. So that's
I guess this is good for those at home who don't have a mixer.
exactly.
So, guys, you can use a wooden spoon and just, get a nice arm workout, and you'll be good.
Focaccia's has been made for hundreds of years.
Exactly, and it didn't have a stand, so
Yeah, exactly. And there's no stand mixer with a hook.
so we can all have a little go.
That's kneading it now.
No, there's no kneading. There's no kneading. There's no kneading at all. This it's just a big. You go stir it until it's a fine consistency.
So I wanted to ask, since becoming an architect, what challenges have you faced in the industry or as an architect on the whole? This is a little bit vulnerable, and it's a vulnerable question. But I think sometimes when people are coming to architecture, there's a lot of challenges that they might face, and they're like, oh, how do I overcome this? How do I try to navigate around these challenges that I face? One challenge is that a lot of times there's lots of architects who will part twos or part ones that graduate each year, but the market is so saturated, especially in the UK in terms of how many jobs are available. If you have like 100 students graduate from one university, and that's like 200, just 2 universities alone. So it's like, I think, is an understanding of what kind of challenges did you face maybe when you just came out of architecture school, or, you know, being an architect now, and how do you overcome it to also encourage those who are young architects and aspiring to one day, you know, do the same kind of work that you're doing, kind of thing.
Architects, there's so many challenges, and I guess I think challenges that are perhaps from both like relevant to your question. I suppose coming out of university, it's trying to understand what architecture is such a big field, and trying to understand where you fit into that world of architecture.
Do you need help now?
Yeah.
Should we swap? There you go. I'll take the third studio. It's good. Similar. I'll do the 15 minutes of fast.
I think it's just like finding where you fit into that world of architecture. You know, we found ourselves in this kind of space of like social, sustainable, environmental impact, social impact through the lens of, I suppose, architectural interiors, with a particular focus on food. And I discovered that from my very first placement when I was a part one, came to London, and the job I got, the practice I kind of affiliated myself with, was this lovely practice that they did that. That's what their focus was, and I think at the time, like, I think I was drawn to them for many reasons, but I was quite open to the kind of work that I was going to do. So I wasn't kind of fixated on I need to work for the 40 under 40 design-led practice. I don't need that. I just want to see somewhere where I resonate with the ethos of the people there, and the work, I can discover the work. And so I did that, and then I also worked in a very different practice, which was on a much bigger scale, it was much more like about large scale, and I worked a couple of places, and I discovered really what my passion was. In amongst that, there was a financial crisis, which made me think about like why we're here and what's the point in doing architecture if it's not for people and planet. So, you know, along the way you kind of you'll kind of use, and I think just like again trying things. I think when we were working in practice when we first came out to university, and financial crisis, getting a job was very, very difficult. And
I think it's kind of similar now as well, because a lot of we speak to people who are part ones or part twos, they would say it's difficult to kind of land that ideal job that they want because there's so few of them. So it kind of causes people to take like an alternative route in terms of want to still be in the field, but they might take another type of route, maybe like a graphic designer or stuff like that. And I think that's why, as like designers or those in the architecture field, it's good to diversify your skills and kind of like learn new skills to add to it to kind of like make you stand out from the rest, kind of thing.
And of course, within that, of course, for the last 15 years, which will certainly take in most of your working life, all of your working life, and you haven't even started your working life yet. And we've invested nothing in building social infrastructure or any of the things that you might have been excited about as an architect. We just haven't done it. The sort of stuff that you may get offered will be the sort of housing that you might get offered to build will be stuff that will make your heart sink. You know, it'll be very lowest common denominator stuff. And to be honest, we just haven't done it. We have not invested anything in the last, I would say, 20 years. Don't quote me. I'll look it up for you if you wanted to. So all of the things that may have been fun that I can remember from when I was young, and friends who worked in this sort of world when I was a young woman, things like youth centres, community centres, social housing, all sorts of stuff that might give you an engagement with your society, your community, that would be fun to work in, that you would have some government funding to make, usually. You haven't done it. It's gone. Not happy. So I
think that happened after around the time when they were trying to, I guess it was a baby boom era when they were trying to get like a lot more housing. So they kind of opted for this like up to this brutalism style in terms of quick production, trying to get housing up quickly and fast.
House detail?
Yeah, the golden era of local authority has been.
It was lovely. Well, I mean, you've got a post-war. We've had a huge, and then I can remember some beautiful schemes in Camden, particularly in London. And there was some lovely stuff around Swiss Cottage swimming pool. Some beautiful ones. I remember them going up. It's a lovely one in Gospel Oak. I can remember some beautiful schemes. There's some people I knew. Actually, I know them now. I didn't know them then.
Yes.
Lovely morning, Hill Morning. You know the one opposite York Way. Morning.
York.
You know, opposite the old shelter. What's that place called?
Oh, I can't remember. I know.
You know, it's a lovely, kind of brutal, kind of Corbusier-ish. Yeah. But lovely, high spec, lots of beautiful. So there were boroughs that did build some beautiful stuff in the 60s, 70s. Because it has not happened since.
Yeah, because I think what the issues from like a lot of research and stuff that I've done about even like social housing and the places that we live in is that they kind of wanted to house people because a lot of people weren't housed, and they kind of ended up like the Soviet style.
But I think that the 60s that we took out is slum clearance. But if I can remember slum clearance, I remember friends I went to school with who literally lived in slums without toilets. In Highbury, I remember a friend whose family lived there. So that was that part of that post-war, continuation of that post-war redevelopment of inner cities, which, as you say,
Want me to give you a hand up?
was cast.
That's actually enjoying it.
So,
And a lot of that was in the brutalist style, if you like, which I have to say that the families I knew that moved into those houses
Love them.
loved.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can remember Nora, Irish woman I knew. She said, "Oh, Shelia, it's beautiful. It's got toilets, it's got showers, it's got, bedrooms with windows." I mean, it was beautiful housing. It was the high spec. It was beyond Parker Morris. It was Morrison, which was that sort of horrible standard of, post-war to avoid Rahmanism, basically. So they did love it. They did love it. Nobody wanted sort of damp Victorian terraces.
That's very interesting to me because a lot of research you do now, they talk about how that kind of like modernism style was very alien, and it made people feel like they were like not human in their spaces because everything was very flat, everything was very plain. Whereas like Victorian times, a lot of things were more decorative and then more attention to like detail. Where after attention to detail wasn't really. So it's interesting to hear that people actually did love those spaces.
People like you who lived in Islington. I mean, I came to school in Islington when I was 14. They weren't interested in the Victor. And in fact, when I was a kid, literally all of those, what do you call the features? What do you call the dado rails and the fireplaces and stuff? You used to throw them out. You could find them on skits.
Even now,
Someone out.
but sometimes people put fake ones now. It's a thing to have a fireplace in your apartment, so they will build like fake
Gotta love a fake fun.
fireplaces.
But at least a fake fire won't. Well, I think the particulates won't kill your children. So there's something to be said.
So it's a good thing. And what else do you want to do next?
so this is the really naughty bit. Is we now add loads of oil,
Oh, okay.
lots and lots of oil. So it's 100. It's 100 grams of oil.
Okay.
And what we need to do is actually we need to put it into a different bowl, and we have to then pull this and put it into the oil, and then we coat the oil around it, and then we leave it to prove
Okay.
for an hour.
She's getting a thrill board.
About that bowl, that looks like a good bowl for doing that. Got a big.
That bowl you might have ideas for it later. That is Gaffos.
So let's put that on there. So
I mean, I think you're right. There were problems with that, those sorts of housing schemes, with the high rises and stuff.
Yeah.
And particularly things like they weren't done well with gas safety and stuff. Was down like Roman Point.
So guys, again, I got it right.
Gee, would you like to get your hands dirty? So you need to scoop the dough.
Well, it's the point I'm making about that.
Yeah, you're supposed to hold your hand.
Is
Good.
Do you put all your hand?
that if you've been living in a slum
Yeah.
and your partner had died, which this woman's had, her husband had died of asthma,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be you wouldn't be relish. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have fond memories of a damp slum that you tried to bring your children in, and perhaps there were two other families living in the same house.
Too much. What, like, if you think there's that, I can't remember that website that basically takes designer modernist homes, and basically, if you want to live in Rowley Way, which is like a really Neve Brown, I think it's Neve Brown,
like Disney.
and I had a friend who basically waited a waiting list and waited to live there, and it's a lovely place to live. Very like, almost like. It's got a life. There you go. Yeah, all in there. That's it.
That's the.
There you go. All right, a little more. If I use a bit of this to scrape.
Hello. I do.
So what we do is, we just need to get the lip. We don't just need to get the oil.
What oil?
No. The oil is around it. Yeah, that's it. You just need to get the oil to cover it, because when the oil will basically go on top, and it will sit to the bottom, and the oil will just sit on top of it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So you just kind of.
Do you want me to cut it?
This way. Oh, there you go. She was done so full.
Professionals.
So that's good. So you then just need a wet cloth. That's a good. Should we get you some cling film, Esther?
Cling film under. I've got food papers under in that one there, John. That
Cling film or wet cloth? That's the one or the other. And it's on here.
Hey guys, I'm getting cling film. Coming back.
That's cool. That is good. I'm just going to let it sit.
I suppose I am also a brutalist babe, so I have such fondness. Oh, Barbican! I literally saw the Barbican being built. There was a hiatus in the middle. There was a big strike, a construction industry strike in the middle, and then I saw it finished. And I did love it. I do love it.
So what do we do now with this?
So this now just sits at room temperature for between an hour and a half.
Okay.
It needs to approximately double in size. Some people take a picture to double check that it's doubled in size. Very precise. But I think we could probably work out when it comes to about here.
Should we mark it somehow?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I was saying, I think it's a very, very interesting point about what we do here, what we're hoping to do with our new housing that we're hoping to build, the Victorian slums and the brutalist sort of, if you like, that sort of 60s, 70s social housing that went up of variable quality. I'm not going to lie. It's not all grey and not all well designed. Light. If you think about living in a damp slum in a basement in Highbury, there's light. There was always light. There's windows, there was light. And that was kind of transformative for a lot of us. You know, light is so crucial to how we perceive the world. And a lot of the low-quality social housing, affordable housing, or was there light that's not affordable, that you can access at the moment, is literally single aspect. You know, they say, oh, you don't need a window for this, or you don't. I mean, you could tell me the QED on it, but I do know that you don't actually need a window for, you know, so dual aspect. So there's light, there's little balconettes, there's little light. It's crucial to, I believe, built environment. It's just, that's
Yeah.
light.
Light is definitely needed. And I think sometimes even one thing I like about some houses when they design it is how they create a connection where you can see from like the start there and you can see all the way to the garden.
Yes.
That connection between, you know, when you walk through, you can see right through the house and it's just like, oh, I can see the beautiful flowers and everything.
I mean, Jonathan Harvey literally designed that in for us. Yeah. There was, I mean, this was a horrible, dark, dank, very long space.
Yeah.
And that was a key discussion with John and Chloe. But what are we hiding? You know, it's light. Well, we're not trying to blot stuff off and frosted wing, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's just let's get that light through this building as much as we can.
Yeah.
And it was. I think you did quite a good job, don't you? Because I mean, well, when you see what a dang old long.
It was very difficult.
Skinny.
It was very difficult. It's that moment of arrival where you come in and then you're not just. you have some connection to the outside from the moment you come inside, and it's like that relationship is so critical in how
Between the inside and
and how the emotion you feel when you
see
enter a space, and how the emotions you feel when you come into a homeless shelter are really critical. It's that first moment you walk in.
I would definitely, before I even say more like in terms of how I feel about this space, which is good, I just wanted to ask quickly, as you know, for the show, we're all focusing on the sense tastes, right? In architecture, you know about the 5 senses in architecture school, which is like touch, smell, taste, see, and hear. But it's like, how often do you use that sense taste? Like when you're designing? I know you're probably not going to answer that. Is that how often do you use it? Because you don't realize that you're using it sometimes. So I always give people this understanding of, okay, when you see textures, you see this, you look at it, you know what this texture feels like, right? But you're not judging the feel of the texture by your hands. Because if you judge it with your hands, you probably think, oh, when I touch this, it's going to be cold. But for you to judge the texture, you actually use your taste buds, your tongue, because you know what this feels like against your tongue. So anything you look at, like any texture surrounding you, you know what this basically would feel like if you were supposed to like, was strange, but to lick it, basically. to get what I'm trying to say? Yep. Whereas like if you were supposed to touch it, you might have a sense of what the texture is, but you're more considering how the temperature feels against your hands, kind of thing. And then in the beginning, I say in the show all the time is that we don't really use the sense, but now I say that we don't consider it. We're not aware that we're using it. And as well, one thing I always say is that, like I think you said this in the beginning, there's different tastes in architecture. So you have commercial, you have humanitarian, you have all these kind of things. Just for the viewers to know about a little bit about what the sense taste is. And that's why as well we're exploring it through food, to kind of like allow people to have more a digestible understanding of like, oh, this is what architecture means to me in, you know, a food aspect. And then we have a take in terms of the taste sense. Or
I think that's a really interesting way to think about it. Is like almost imagine if you lick a building. We actually had a client who did lick. He knew what all the different cements tasted of, and so he could lick a cement and tell if a builder had put the right amount of lime in or cement. So he did literally lick buildings, and not. It wasn't. We weren't recommending it. But I did get an idea of like how you feel warmth, because I guess if you talk about like stainless steel or natural surface, like I think we talk a lot about like the contribution like natural materials make to a space. So often we're not talking about color, we're talking about like the kind of the texture.
Do you remember the fight we had for the floor?
Oh my goodness, yes, the fight for the floor.
Tell them about
the contractor had this typical problem that you'll find where you try to intersect with homeless, the people experiencing homelessness, and they refused to let us put this wooden floor down. And we said, well, no, because we want that feeling, vinyl's very warm. No, we want that natural feel of the wood, of the warmth, of the, I can't think of another word, but you know, we wanted that.
The domestic, exactly. It's like
and they said, you'll have to they kept saying, it'll blow. I said, what do you mean it'll blow? It will. The idea was a bit like an Australian pub where they sort of thought we were going to be hosing it down every night. And I'm saying, these are people experiencing homelessness. They're not going to be, what?
What are they expecting to go?
Was that so? Urinating on the dining room floor. They said it was literally on that level. And do you know what? He had to sign a disclaimer. I had to sign a disclaimer saying that I was putting this flooring down against their advice, and that if it all kind of, you know, when you wet wood, it blows, it can get all boggly.
Yeah.
That if it all, they wouldn't guarantee it. Because they
just couldn't understand the idea that we were put into it's a space that is going
temporary.
It's temporary and it works hard, but they didn't understand the value of why this material was that we were suggesting, and we just had to take that leap of faith. And I think that idea that there's something in that sense of like you feel something when you touch something in your tongue, and I think actually it's very subtle, but
it's weird.
and it's even you say you feel it through your hand, you feel it through your foot, under your foot. You feel it when you touch a door handle, and it's like, or And
Everything's like all the senses kind of play together and they complement each other and how we experience spaces. So as well, if you could tell the audience as well a little bit about Shelter from the Storm and how did it come about and why you wanted to do that.
As I said, it started 17 years ago in this church hall in Islington, 1 day a night and 2 days with the Catholic Church down the road, and then we did 5 days, and we very quickly realised that we needed to be every night of the year. It was almost as if people were, if you sheltered them for a few nights, they almost lost the ability to exist on the streets for the other nights. So I guess it was about, let me think, 9, about 14, I've been here 5, 14 or so, 15 years ago, that we got our first permanent premises. It was on a warehouse just off York Way. It was very beautiful again. It was freezing, it was cold, but it was very beautiful. And that's always been key to what we've done, is making sure that our spaces are really lovely as we can make them. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to make as beautiful as you can?
Yeah.
So that people feel a little sense of, oh, this is nice, it's cool. We've always had pretty, usually the same tablecloths actually, always kittens. I'm no fond of a kitten. So just some nice touches, some homey touches. We had bunk beds. It was pretty. It was pretty make you and then, wasn't it? The old place.
it had a charm.
But it had a charm.
Yeah. So in the meantime, while you're explaining, what do you want us to do?
Let's cut some onions.
Okay.
Let's get some tomatoes roasting maybe as well.
Okay.
This is the next dish.
Behind you.
Roasting tin.
So within that, key to that.
Oh, the roasting tin.
The roasting tin as well.
It's right here.
So that one? Yeah.
And the foil people's on it as well.
So key in that, we can't solve people's problems.
Yeah.
We can't do it. We can't. What we can do is we can make a space where we support people's spirit. We support it with food, with care, with counselling, with English classes, with lovely volunteers who come and cook and chop and make lovely hot dinners. We can support their spirit, and then that never goes away. That is one little space where people have been treated with courtesy, with love, with whatever, and then hopefully that will be a building block for them to move on. It may not be that they move on to a really perfect life or a really easy life, but that experience of being cared for, of being sheltered, never goes away. It's always there. And we do have people that contact us years later to say, I was in your shelter 10 years ago. I just thought I wanted to phone to let you know that now my life is transformed. I've got a child, I've got this, that and the other. And that experience of being with you was one of the first times I felt listened to, heard, whatever. So I think that's what it's about. And the environment that we do that in is important.
So what inspired you to go to Jonathan Harvey to get them?
Well, we looked at 2 or 3 architects, to be honest, and they came through a friend of ours, a friend of the shelter, who was a commercial property agent.
Yeah.
And she worked with Jonathan Harvey.
Yes, I think. Yes.
So we met the 2 or 3, and the thing that really the key thing about Jonathan Harvey is that they listened to us. They were really interested in what we wanted, and the other people we contacted about helping us build this new place, because we were pretty sure we got the premises by that point. Was that they wanted to prescribe what we did. Oh, well, what you need is we'll do this, we'll do it like this, and the people, them, the other, they need this, they need that. Things like the showers. People say, oh, you've got to have a stable door showers because then you can, what? So what it's all?
Oh, that's a bit weird.
Yes. Or why? Why would you want me to do that? Oh, well, you might be using dogs in your ID and all these sort of. So we were very clear that we've been doing this for a long time. You probably know our world as well, if not better, than most people. There's not many things like ours around, to be honest. So me and Matt, our GM, we felt pretty cool that we knew what we wanted. We needed advice, we needed help, we needed people to translate that for us. But we knew what we wanted. We did not want the sort of this like slightly nicer looking prison or things like kettling areas. People were very keen on kettling areas.
Yeah, I've heard about this in terms of how, you know, a lot of homeless like not charities but shelters is very like clinical, kind of. It's very, you know, white walls, everything kind of like greyish, and it's not as warm. And one thing I do admire about this Shelter from the Storm is how warm and inviting it is. Because when I looked online and I found you guys, I was like, oh, this even looks like a shelter. I thought it was like probably a university kind of, you know, apartments or that kind of stuff. And it looks very warm and inviting. And even the videos that I think I watched on your website, it just looks like a bunch of friends cooking for each other kind of thing, you know, just looking after each other and looking out for each other. And no one should feel ashamed of their situation, you know.
Well, it can happen to anyone. Honestly, people say, oh, what are they? Are they? You know, was this they, them, these homeless people? It can happen to anyone. We have lawyers, we have nurses, we've had doctors, we have accountants. You know, we've had all sorts of people who've used the shelter over the years. Anybody can have just that bit of bad luck that... You know, with the rent riser.
So do I cut them just
like this?
Yeah, slices, just thin slices.
Oh, this way?
Yeah, that way. Have you diced it?
I've diced it.
What, dicing's fine too?
So I'll do dice these ones and then I'll cut those ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what, the first time I did this, I did it diced as well, and it tasted really nice. So.
Okay, so I do these ones like really thin and then these ones bite.
Cool. No worries.
Bye, guys. I should ask questions. Okay, go on, carry on. Sorry.
It can happen to anyone. You know, it's just literally no respect of anything. We have divorced dads. I mean, classically, if your couple separate, the caregiver to the children will keep the accommodation, and then the person who hasn't got the actual sort of caregiving job. We'll have to find somewhere else. Well, you try doing that in this climate, in fact, in any climate. You know, it's getting worse, but it's always been pretty bad. You'll have no statutory housing obligation. So it's not like you can go and get a council flat. People always think, oh, we'll get a council. Nobody can get a council flat these days.
It's very hard.
Some people will have fallen through the cracks of society.
And I think what people forget is that for someone to get off the streets, and because you hear a lot of times, why don't you just get a job? But you can't get a job unless you have an address. And the way for people, it's not like in before where a lot of jobs were cash in hand. A lot of jobs is like the money comes into your account.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly. So society has changed, and a lot of people's identity in the UK and where we are now is actually, you know, your address. Your identity is how people can find you, is how people can recognize you as a citizen or within society. And if someone can't get an address, then they can't come off the streets, they can't get an account, they can't get a passport.
They can't get a bank account. I mean, so that's one thing we've always done. We've always recognised this. Yeah. So we've helped people get bank accounts, we've helped people get jobs, we've given dress they can use. We've always recognised that.
Yeah.
And it's still difficult, you know. Most of our people here, to be honest, will be on minimum wage. And minimum wage is not enough. So people always want to know, is it because people experiencing homelessness, have they all got substance misuse? Have they all got... Truth is, wages are too low and rents are too high. That's really the problem. Mm-hmm. That's it. There may be people in there with other issues to do with mental health, with substance misuse. To be quite honest, if you are experiencing homelessness, really will impact your mental health. And if you didn't have mental health issues before, you may well have them once you become homeless. Some of them will, some of them won't. I'm not going to say none of them do. But the real issue is affordable housing. If we had a proper policy of housing first in this country, a lot of the issues would be solved.
Yeah, definitely agree. And is what you want to do?
Shall we? I might get. You know what? I'm going to I'm going to put the beans up.
You want to crush those guys? I've got an amazing garlic crusher.
Joy, I asked for it to be sliced, and I'm a bit of a rule follower sometimes. So, but we could crush it. We could totally go.
Like me.
I'm like, yeah, just a rule breaker over here.
So, as you, how did you feel when Sheila came to you about designing Shelter from the Storm? What was your first thought? Especially, is this your first kind of like homelessness project you ever worked on? And how did you basically go about it? Compare into that.
Sure,
Yeah.
It was really to Sibby's.
I'm going to meet set up.
I guess initially we felt very just privileged to have the opportunity to work with Sheila, who was just so knowledgeable. And I guess we kind of felt like, and Sheila kind of said it already. She knew what they wanted before, and in a way we just felt like we were conduits to her expert knowledge and experience of what it is to be homeless. And so we were there to, I guess, to be a people to filter their knowledge and their ideas, and then hopefully add our own, extra. Obviously we come with our own expertise and knowledge around interiors and food, and just, I guess, the process of delivering it.
I'll tell you something else that you did, which people in our world, they say we're always offering you some old warehouse somewhere that, you can have that for a year, 2 years, or whatever. The understanding that just because it's a homeless shelter doesn't mean to say it hasn't got to have the same fire regs, safety regs, compliance, all of those things that are key to providing, to providing the safest, best place that you can. Which, people often want to say, why can't you just put them in we get off the meanwhile use quite a lot of the time, and it's like, you think, what did you get offered what? It's called a meanwhile use. It's like things that, places that they want to develop in the future.
Okay.
It's all meanwhile,
Meanwhile use is like a spaces which have an in-between life. So, a shop,
might be a
shop that they can't find a use for, but it's going to be, or the building's going to be developed in 5 years' time or 2 years' time, and the developer will allow, why don't you come and get up?
There. Yeah.
So I think, I actually remember, like, when we started the project, like 15 years ago, there was a group called Meanwhile CIC. It was a community interest company that was focused on trying to help people find meanwhile spaces. But I think Sheila almost finds that unless it's a meaningful amount of time where you can invest in the space, then they don't have a real lasting impact. Basically, I think it's a good idea. I think the idea and the principle of meanwhile spaces is positive for certain things.
Me? I get it now. See me? Get me.
So we always need to.
So guys, we're gonna sieve the beans now.
Yeah.
To do the next step, which is working on creating the beans dish with roasted tomatoes on top. And we're going to start baking the bread soon,
Yes, I think actually we should probably do that now, actually, I think.
Yeah. So after he's just straining it, and then we're going to take the proof to bread.
We're going to we need to sow. This is a bit of a...
This is our magic. We had one proof from before.
Yes.
This saves some time.
Yeah.
So what do you need us to do now?
So next thing for this is the most fun bit of the focaccia is stretching the dough.
Okay. Oh.
So she would like to stretch the dough.
Oh, can I stretch it? Yeah.
So I'll mark that down for you. Let's get a bit of dough roll. Here we go.
Just hold the audience.
So I had to YouTube this. Before I did this the first time. So what we'll do is we're stretching the dough to help create structures which basically help
aerate the dough because you want this kind of nice bubbly texture within the dough. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch it. You have to oil your hands.
Yeah.
Get your hands underneath the dough and then you lift it up and then you let it fall under its own weight.
Okay.
It's quite a liquidy dough, so
I've seen it like on Instagram. A lot of people have been making it on Instagram. I thought, so I was so excited. I'm like, Jonathan, so when you said you were going to make it, I was like, oh, this is good. Like, I've always wanted to make it. Okay, so I was like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually excited for this one.
So, it's weird. It's super liquidy, so you have to try and stretch it. So we're going to pull it up on its own weight and then drop it, kind of fold it over, then we'll turn it 90 degrees, do the same thing. We'll do it 3 times. And then that's enough, apparently, to stretch the dough.
So do you want to get the tin that was in a use?
So here's the tin.
Okay. Do you need to oil it or anything?
Yes, we do.
First of all, here.
Perfect. And you need to oil your hands before.
Okay. Guys, I'm super excited for this bit.
Yeah. Right, there we go. There you go.
Perfect.
You could probably just spread the oil around in the pan.
So just
Yeah, so you just get your hands right into the bottom.
Really liquidy.
Yeah, and then you're going to just try. You're going to try and pick it up, and then that's it, and then stretch it and kind of trying to fold. Liquid is.
so it is right.
It's kind of, and then then turn it,
Okay.
and then try and do it again. It's
Okay. And then turn it again.
turn it again and do it. I did it about 3 or 4 times, and it seemed to do the trick. It seems got the right consistency.
And then it suddenly...
Okay, that's 4 times.
That's 4 times. So that's all we need to do now.
Just pour it.
We just pour it into here.
And do you want to do that?
Shall I pour it in?
Yeah. That's my hands.
Yeah.
So now we're pouring it in, guys.
So here we go.
Oh, this is so fun. So I've seen people do this thing where they like poke it.
Do you want to scrape it out?
So the poking happens.
Do you want to scrape
Yes,
it
we
out?
do want to scrape it out.
Do you want to scrape it out with your mouth? Yes, why not?
You get all the dough.
You can really smell the yeast. It smells like a bit.
Yeah, it does smell like that. It's
Get it, though.
Do you know what, when we
Yeah, finish.
when we were working with a particular food client, and they were really interested in beers, and they were creating beers from the yeast of their premises.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking, because this actually had a little bit of a journey here today, and I was thinking this may have overtones of London neighbourhoods where the yeast will pick up the Shelia.
I'm trying to say that in a nice way, but it doesn't make it sound. I think it's a nice thing. So then, so actually the dimples happen after the proof. So we now, whilst we're making the rest of the beans, we're going to wrap it in cling film.
Okay.
And we're going to leave it just to prove, and it needs to just hopefully it will just rise a little bit, and then just before cooking, we'll then do the wrap the holes where we put the thumb in.
Oh, I think we would do this.
Yeah, or it can be. It's your technique, whatever you want. You could do for speed. You could do that. You could do thumbs.
Will it stay? Yeah, not now. I still would proof it more.
To be honest, I don't see how it's, because it's very liquidy, and I don't understand.
The sights behind it.
Do you know what? It tastes lovely, but I can't contest that my focaccia is exact. the perfect focaccia.
So let me wash my hands and just also before I go further, can you let us explain a little bit about the process of designing this space as well to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So it began kind of as I alluded to before, which was that we started with Shelia's post-it, which basically talked about the spaces, and we basically took that post-it and turned it into a feasible plan, a design that could work. I guess one of the really critical aspects of the process was getting planning permission, which is really boring, but it was a really big thing because perceptions of a homeless shelter are much... people have misunderstandings about what a homeless shelter is going to bring. Very
negative.
And so I think that one of the biggest... there was a really particular chunk of the project was just about getting the local community on board and getting them to understand that this space would be a real benefit to the community. And so I guess step 1 was just translating Shelia's ideas. Step 2 was kind of getting it to become a real reality in the eyes of the planners. And then,
Do you want to?
Yeah, please do. And then I guess the next step was just starting to really understand what this thing would look and feel like.
Yeah.
And I guess that was a long conversation about. We talked about the floor. It was all this kind of about the contribution the materials would have
to the feeling, the atmosphere. So it was a lot of time spent just re-understanding how the space would feel, and I guess just unpacking all of Sheila's knowledge. So there's a real intense moment where we spent probably 3 or 4 months, talking about the relationship of where the toilet should be to the dorms, because actually when the volunteers here at night, they would like to be able to see the guests. They want to be able to understand who is using the toilets, because that is a...
They need some help, some support. They don't, people might, you just can't, your journey, you have to have a certain amount of just oversight and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, as always, the kitchen heart of
Yeah.
yeah.
Can work out how it's going to be. Yeah.
And that's also part of the whole idea. It's bigger than the sum of its parts. It's not veggie meals that people have given us that we microwave. People come together, they cook, they're here. It's like a gift relationship. It is, it's hot, it's cooked, it's short, it's absolutely key. It's a simple thing. But a lot of our people, it will be the first time that they've sat down to eat together. Everybody says eats together, 7:30. For years, and some of them since they left home. Some of them won't have done that since they left home.
Yeah.
So it's...
You remind me of the fact that we haven't known where the kitchen should be forever. And I remember we were talking about it being kind of over there, but also what we said is it needs to be the heart of the space, and really you could see it from this...
Particularly
as soon as you enter, you see the kitchen, you see the volunteers cooking, because at the heart of it is this idea that the volunteers cook together, and then the guests eat together, and there's this kind of it's just this basic thing that we do, which is so important to who we are, is eating and cooking together.
All religions, all faiths, they all have something similar in the ideas in Abrahamism of transubstantiation, or in Islam, in Jewish, all religions and communities will have a similar idea, a notion, where you sit and you offer and you break bread together with visitors, with friends, with family, with all of us. I have yet to come across a society that doesn't have something like that that's key to its...
And it's kind of like this warmth thing, because I remember when we were filming last year's series with Community Kitchen, it allows... when you see food being cooked and you see that the kitchen, it allows people to be able to open up and be maybe vulnerable, maybe with one of the, in terms of what they're going through or the challenges that you're facing with one of the workers, and we're able to to able to speak, because it's kind of like, it reminds you, the first time you remember food is like when your mum cooks for you and gives you a plate of food, or your grandma and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of a way of showing love. And so you being able to make a dish and to serve it to someone in the community, who are homeless, it kind of shows that, we see you and we also love you, and this is a space for you that is safe for you to kind of open up and be yourself, which I think is very important. If you've made it this far through the episode, I would like to say a huge thank you for staying tuned. Before we get back into the episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bold Platform. Like, comment, and reshare. It is our mission to impact and change the narrative of how we use, see, and interact with architecture. Also, I would like to say a massive thank you to the Royal Institute of British Architecture for sponsoring this year's series of Cooking with an Architect. RIBA London aims to bring awareness to the work of architects through providing support and education opportunities for architects across the UK. So if you're an architect and would like to find out more about what they do, and would like to join one of the RIBA London groups, links will be placed in the description box below. And as this year we are focusing on the theme of homelessness, we would like to bring awareness to one of our collaborators this year called Under One Sky, which is a volunteer-led charity that aims to use education, compassion, and collaboration to end homelessness in the UK and beyond. They empower individuals, companies, and public organizations to be a part of the change, transforming lives and growing a utopian community together. To learn more about Under One Sky, links will be placed in the description box below.
Showers, absolutely key. This is something that we we know from having really, really rubbish heating systems in our old places, constant hot water and showers, privacy. I remember the people saying, "Oh, are they going to look underneath? Are they, there might be some sort of elements of sexual review." No, it is literally that it's a place where you can literally decompress, you can de-stress. It's private, it's hot. At the end of a day, where who knows what you've been doing. Some of our people work, some of the people hang around all day, some of them sit on buses all day. All of us, when we come in after a day, will be a bit frazzled. So literally, the showers, they're just beautiful. I mean, they're still hanging together quite nicely, to be honest, as well. 5 years down the line, they're not doing badly. But they're lovely, full, private spaces.
There's a hand oven.
Oh, yes.
Also there. Yeah, private spaces and
Well, you could have enough crotch. Lots of towels and again, they're beautifully designed so that it's really easy and they're kind of private in that they've got a little curtain area in them, so you can literally come in you don't have to come through in your towel, which is not nice for a lot of people. They don't want to be doing that. They don't want to be seeing other people doing that. So I think they designed those really well. Again, there's a bit of a fight with the contractor who didn't want to do them the way we wanted to do them. But Jonathan Harvey made them how we want them. And I think they're pretty good, to be honest.
I don't agree. So in terms of like you talking about the bathroom as well, because I think it's too much TMI. But I've been inside the bathroom and walked around and seen all the things that you have here, and it feels very, like, I don't know, explain, very nice. Like everything feels very nice. The finish for everything is like, it just feels like I went into a shopping mall and you went to the Stratfords. It reminds me of a Stratford.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, just like a really slightly sophisticated bathroom experience.
Exactly.
But I tell you something there, on how we did put in some very nice contractors. Some Myers. Lovely tires from respectable deal. On the floor. From Harvard's, we got deals on everything, really.
We wasted a long time basically telling people obviously what we were doing and explaining the project, and they were very generous.
They were very generous, and it wasn't a hard sell either, was it? No, it wasn't. No, that sounds so cool. Yeah, we love to give you. Sunday it was free. Some of it was very nice rates.
When we put this in, we're going to need to get chopping over the sage because we sage it real small, wasn't it? Oh yes, please. I'll pop this in, then I'll stir it. Keep it going.
Can you use the same chopping boards?
There we go.
How do you want this?
Just tiny, as small as you can. Because I did it, the times I've made this recipe, I've always made it, I'm not very good. I'm not got the kind of like...
Chefy.
The chefy.
There's a bigger knife, if anything, there, with a black handle.
Yeah.
So the finish and everything is really nice. Yeah, there's a spoon there.
Not with this. No, get a good sound.
Oh, yeah, I'll rinse them.
Easy. Or get one over there. We've got loads over there, John. Bacon's weird. Or get one of those.
Oh, no, that room.
Oh, yes, perfect.
Yeah. So now, guys, we've put the onions in and we're chopping up the sage. So we're just cooking this. Do you need to go higher, or?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit. Let's get it up, and then we can turn it down. Get those onions going.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we just get these for 5 minutes. Then we'll add the garlic and the sage for a couple of minutes. And then once we've done that, we can then add the beans, add the milk. It's super simple. Just a bit of seasoning, and then we'll just boil it down for 10 minutes, and we end quite this really just creamy stew.
Yeah. I think as well, a lot of times what I think about in terms of when you come to a homeless shelter, there's a lot of things that you think about. Like even today, I saw that you have a laundry room for people to wash their clothes, for people to to kind of feel, not say human again, but I guess that's the right word. And even bathroom mats and all that kind of stuff for people to feel as if they're at home. It kind of reminds me of you go to your grandma's house and you have everything you have access to, you're allowed to touch and use. So it gives me that kind of impression of, I'm at grandma's house. Everything is fine.
Everything is okay.
Everything's okay. No worries.
Okay, and it's just the facilities are about kind of giving the guests everything they need to. So what's the average length of time a guest's here?
Well, it's going up as being, we say 28 days, but realistically it's 3 months, but different use. Some people it's easier. Some people we can find easier. move on options, but move on options are getting harder.
They're getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
The cost of living crisis, with
And I remember
increases.
Yeah. I remember when I did the research about Shutterstones, you said that a lot of times as well, it's not only just, say, people who are on the streets, and I think Sheila mentioned this earlier, is that it's even people who are in low minimum wages are not able to actually afford a home kind of thing. And one question I wanted to ask is, with architecture today, do you think we're kind of forgetting to create spaces that foster community? Especially now, hostile architecture is very much like on the rise of keeping people out, keeping certain people not to come in. Do you think we're kind of forgetting that community is not only just those in the space who live maybe in the buildings, but allowing your neighbours to speak to each other? Because you have a lot of tall glass buildings where neighbours don't speak and interact, kind of thing.
I think, yeah, there are some people who see community as a real value as part of our built environment, but too many people don't care, and too many people just want to create kind of lowest common denominator housing. I think, misdevelopment rights when the government, in the last 10 years, when they changed it all so that you could convert an office into 25 apartments of 15 square meters with their windows, it created these terrible, and I think some of that regulation is changing, but yeah, it feels like we're not.
They're still there, though. The ones that built, aren't they?
Well, exactly, the ones that are built are still there. Perfect. Lovely, right.
This chopped.
Garlic, yes, sliced, please. Finely sliced. These, yeah, it's like, Sheila kind of alluded to a housing scheme that we're working on together.
Yeah.
That really is about creating community.
That's that dream.
So what are some of the important elements as designers, architects, those who are watching, that you need to include in spaces to kind of help the fostering of communities?
I guess there's a couple of focuses that we've got. We've the research that we've done is it's the extra spaces. People want their own space.
Yeah.
They need their own space to kind of come back to, but then they need places where they can accidentally meet. They need places where they kind of can experience and live together in a way that allows them to live their own life, but also interact with other people. It's that kind of, so for us it's balcony spaces, it's lobbies, it's like, how do you design a building where people are forced walkways between, and then beyond that is but then also creating really meaningful community facilities as part of the scheme that we're talking about. Is we're trying to create this thing called the Peace Garden, this garden where it brings together and it's
Peace garden. What's a peace garden?
A peace garden is an external space where people from all religions and backgrounds feel comfortable and confident in coming into to dwell, experience,
sit and chill.
Great. And it's designed in a way that breaks down boundaries. It feels an inclusive space.
Yeah.
And I guess as part of this project, there's a real kind of linchpin in the way that, because the project that we're talking about it's got to knit 2 or 3 different communities together. Even within the building, it will have a diversity of community, and it's it's really about how you knit those together. Right, should we let's add.
But at its heart, it is truly affordable housing and social rents.
Yeah.
Not for profit and social rents. So it will be,
Housing for those people who need
housing here, people. Where they used to build housing people.
Exactly. I think sorry, go on. Sure.
So I know, in terms of, do you think the approach of architecture as well needs to change in terms of how we're approaching architecture? Especially now, a lot of buildings are popping up from development, but it kind of seems like, money signs of a lot of it, in terms of, we're going to make these places at a minimum spec kind of thing because we need an investment back to make the money back. So it doesn't feel like it's really inclusive in terms of, like you said, social rents that are affordable for everybody, for everyone to access, that who are on minimum wages. So now a lot of spaces,
wages even suddenly not even minimum wages. You'll have friends and colleagues who are on slightly better wages, but they still can't afford to live. There is a lot of evidence across the world that affordable housing, socially rented housing, pays back. pays back in buckets. The children that grow up in decent housing will function better at school. They will be able to function.
Yeah, I would like some of the bees, actually. Beans, and we'll
There'll
do.
be less of a strain on the public purse with anxious behaviour. The parents will be or won't suffer so much mental distress because there's a thought of trying to keep two children in a young bedroom flat.
Gone, is it?
Stove.
Well, that's the lemon.
The zest.
Yes.
There's a little zest grater on the right hand side, all the way in the plates, next to the flowers. Up to your right, yeah.
What that in there, lenses?
Yes, please, yes. So I've just added the oat milk
Okay.
to the beans. So the beans, we've now got the onions, garlic, sage,
And now lemon fresh.
and now the lemons.
Whole lemon?
So yes, I say whole lemon because I like lemony to taste, I'd say. But yeah, I quite like a lemony, and I feel like I'm never very good at zesting a lemon either. So never get older, right? So when you think half a lemon, so what is even up?
Our society has moved into a housing, as you know, it's a church house or a rent house, or it's become a commercial vehicle. So that's what housing has become. And, you know, I mean, I think we need to start looking at housing. It's just housing. You know, I mean, it's not meaningful. We need to house. We need them to be our nurses, to change our catheters when we're old, look after our grannies, look after ourselves. If we become ill, or if they're pregnant, or we have children, we need housing. We need people, and we need housing.
Because there are developers out there who do see that value. So there are some, but there's so few that actually really take this kind of idea of community seriously. Because actually, I think you're right, Shelia, there's a payback to it, because you create a strong community. Actually, if you're a developer, it means the tenants leave less often. You have less cost in.
So this actually it costs us less, like as our, you know, from the NHS point of view, from all sorts of points of view, it will be better if we.
So we're gonna add our spices now. So what spices do you want?
So we do a little bit of paprika, I think.
Is this smoked paprika? Nice.
Paprika. And then we'll do a little bit of the onion. So it was onion garlic, right?
Yeah. So it's onion, salt.
Onion salt. Sorry, I always get confused now. Yeah, I think that looks great. That looks great. I'll just put a little bit of. That's it.
So it's a pinch.
A pinch. I don't think because the sage is a pretty strong flavour, as is the lemon. So you just want it to kind of support. And that's with a pepper. And the oregano was on the tomato solution.
Okay.
The oregano.
Do you need any salt?
Yes, we definitely need some salt. A generous. They always say a generous.
They would let me use some salt just last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we're mixing that. So after this we're going to make it simmer, right?
Yeah, we're just going to simmer it now
For how long?
for 10 minutes. So it's not long.
Okay.
It's a great midweek meal.
Okay. So should we clean up this area and then we'll start with the bread? So
I
we can
think
cook
so.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
What do you need us to do?
So
There you go.
It is. So I guess it's. Well, should you want to unveil? And let's see. I think we take the clean film off. Let's see.
We're going to be poking it.
We're going to be dimpling it. We're going to be pushing some tomatoes in.
And some garlic as well.
So it's the tomatoes are for the beans. We've got some more tomatoes. The tomatoes is like the connecting ingredient. So
Are we going to put garlic in it as well? Or
you know what? I don't think it needs garlic actually
Okay.
for this one. I think we just do tomatoes. And yeah, so they're for the bean bit.
there's the bean.
Yeah, we put some fresh tomatoes, uncooked.
Tomatoes.
So do you want to position some tomatoes, and then
Should I do this first?
you know what? Yes, yeah. Let's do the dimpling first.
Guys, I'm doing dimpling. I'm
Do some quick dimpling.
It's looking dimply.
Yeah, it's looking dimply. It's some good going for some serious dimples.
Is that okay?
That's brilliant. And then we just put all of the tomatoes in, stick them in, and then they should just caramelise.
Okay. So let me just get us off of my hand.
What's it doing? Oh no, look, since the office of town north.
It's just it's an ombre.
it gets lighter as we go. Like, move.
Oh, with your beans, it seems like it's steaming.
Oh yeah, don't forget those, right. So yeah,
Take the lid off.
yeah, maybe take it off and then we can, that's perfect. Yes. Oh, this one's great.
So now, guys, I don't know if you can see it. Don't want to tilt it too much. Yeah. We're going to put it in the oven for it to cook. And then, so we're going to make this simmer.
But that just needs to simmer down. We've probably got 5 more minutes left.
5 more minutes?
5 more minutes, and then I think this is just about kind of getting down to a nice creamy consistency. So it depends on how creamy we like our beans.
Yeah.
Really.
So, and then, so we should put this in now, the bread.
This is ready to go.
And then I'll ask you guys one more question, and then we will go on a break. So we're going now, guys, into the oven. You can see with all the...
Right in the middle, right in the middle. Is it currently at 200?
Yeah.
So what's we've got 20 minutes to 200, and then we need 5 more minutes where we turn it right up just to brown the top.
The brown tops. Okay, perfect. And one more question I wanted to ask. What are some of the common issues you find with rough sleepers within the city? Common issues.
Shoot, question that one.
What are some of the common issues you find that recurring with those who are rough sleepers?
Literally access to shelter. There is no access to shelter.
So in terms of do they find sleeping in the streets dangerous, scary?
Yes, it's scary, it's dangerous, it's terrifying. They'll sit on the buses. Young people perhaps hang around railway stations, and people still try to pick up young people and older people who are at railway stations or bus stops or whatever. They say, well, on the clock, I'll help you. And, those are people that are incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Just so scary. You'll go home with somebody who seems very friendly, and then they may want you to do stuff that we are. And then if you say, well, don't do, they say, oh, it's fine, leave, go back off to the street at 2 a.m. So that still happens, still wig. I mean, one of the main reasons we started in King's Cross was when we were in King's Cross. It was the centre for people coming from the north. They would literally come in. If you look at the way that England is worked, in Scotland, from the north, whatever, people who looking for work or who were running away from something, whatever, they'd all come in, reached in King's Cross. And so people were down there, and we could work with services in the area to shelter them. Young people, particularly around the stations, were incredibly vulnerable and in danger, still are. People sit on buses all day. That's dangerous.
I think when we first started working with you, you actually had some people who've been very brave in kind of putting their stories into kind of on audio, and you could hear people talk about the stories and where they could.
Our podcasts were just brilliant.
We're using the podcast.
Four podcasts. They're really good. They're on our website. They're brilliant, in fact.
I remember listening to them on the way over to meet you the first time, and I kind of was almost in tears by the time I got here to the old shelter, because it's just, hearing how the journeys, they're so different and so very, very hard.
There's, Guy Sachard, through cinema shows, a lot of the stories that I can remember from the original Irish immigrants who came to London to work on construction, and our similar stories that we now have with the Eastern Europeans, with the Balkan people. They come, they work hard on building, construction. They may not see, they often think that the boss is paying their national insurance. And then they then discover actually they were literally worked on by market. They didn't know because their English wasn't good enough. They'll have an industrial injury, they'll hurt their foot, whatever. And then suddenly you discover they have no recourse to anything.
That's quite sad.
Their connections with their home will be broken. There's also a sort of a machismo thing about a lot of workers, male workers particularly, while they're earning money and they're sending it home, they're part of a community and they are respected. If they are not sending any money home, it feels like they're not wanted. It was very similar with the Irish community in 50s, 40s, 50s and 60s. 50s and 60s actually. Their year as well. So there's an awful lot of problems. A lot of people are used very unfairly by people who they work for.
And I think this is good for those who are like architects and designers who are watching, that when you're designing these spaces, these are some of the things to consider, and to also include, like, in terms of spaces, like, you know, what we see here and what we talked about, and things we have to be sensitive towards for those who are...
I think understanding the stories of the guests before they go is so important to how you consider the space.
See as employees, like, respect is important.
I think,
These will be people who, they're just people. They will have lives, they will have worked, most of them. Some of them won't. But, the idea that you just pigeonhole them in any way as to this, they're just all people with different stories. And they fall through the cracks of whatever society.
I think, when the shelter first opened, because budget was tight, the invested was... There's so much investment in the space, but we did bring Shelia brought over the old bunk beds space, and they were just integrated into the design.
We used everything.
We used everything, but then since then, during COVID, because COVID meant that the shelter couldn't have quite as many of the guests, they realised that actually having a bit more space, a bit more of their own space, really helped across the board. And I think, and in that sense of like people coming in from these really challenging stories and having these kind of just really the way that you design, like even just the dorms, had such a huge impact.
Jonathan Harvey then came back and helped us design these very beautiful sleeping pods. And in fact, there's a lot of quite swanky hotels that would be very proud to have such very nice sleeping pods. And Ash and Chloe helped us design those.
I think that's the...
We did it in a very economical way. They're very nice. They got wool insulation, which means they're very quiet, but also very sustainable.
I'm very sorry for the joiner, because we were building them during the kind of cost of, when everything was very, like, inflation was rife, and the joiner really struggled. But he was so committed to the project. He delivered the project, but so I was a bit more detail than we need to go into. But we care about the people.
That's you. So just before we continue more with the cooking, we're going to go on a really quick break, and we'll be back to answer some more questions, and also so you can see the dish. So this is the bean so far. It looks and smells really amazing.
It's coming out right. That sage has been cooked beautifully, cut beautifully.
So we're going to add the tomatoes when we come back, and we're going to have the bread and everything, and then we'll discuss some more. So I see you after the break.
Cheers.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for staying tuned. So we just finished baking the bread, we've cut it up, and also served the beans and the tomatoes. It looks very delicious, by the way. So thank you for suggesting the recipe today.
Pleasure.
And also, just before we start and try the dish, I have one question for both of you, just to help in terms of what advice do you have for those who are young architects and designers who are up and coming, and how can they use their skills to help those who are part of a vulnerable community?
It's a good question, interesting question. I think, how can young designers use their skills to help? I think it's getting involved and finding a community organisation, a charity that you resonate with and that you can give anything. Just get involved, join that group, and I think by getting to know them and understanding how they work, you will naturally see opportunities to design things that you think, maybe it's a local garden, community garden, and they need a raised planter, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to design that work with you, because they're constantly making things. Shelter Thormazaki, they're an amazing organisation that always is looking for volunteers to help with cooking in the evenings and beyond. So I think it's just get involved, and you'll find things and you'll see things, and your skills will be almost certainly invaluable.
Yes, definitely. Angela?
Yes, I'd reiterate nearly all of that. I think that a really important thing for young designers to think about is to literally become involved with organisations that work with marginalised groups. there's a very strong narrative in this country that would like us to all believe that there's something wrong with people who experience homelessness or who are from marginalized groups. This is not true. I mean, they're just all people like you and me. And I think that if people volunteer and they come and engage with groups, they listen to the people who live there, who use those groups, the service users, if you like, listen to the workers and the other volunteers, it will inform their life's experience of these different groups, that they can either help make some stuff, like we have beautiful planters here that volunteers have made, but also when they go to their day job, if you like, the next time they have a project, a working project, it will inform how they approach that. They won't come with preconceived ideas that some of the people, not as I said to you, Jonathan Harvey came and listened to us, but other people came with preconceived ideas of what they thought would be the right thing for this marginalized group. If you come and experience these worlds, you will then go to your work, to your making, to your building with information, with experience, with knowledge of how to do it. And I think that's about being there and listening, and it will do your work practice no end of good to approach always in that way, to listen, to find out what this particular client, this particular group wants, what you can do to help them do it. And maybe little steps to begin with, like volunteering, whatever. And hopefully one day you'll be able to build some beautiful social housing.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today and allowing me to cook in your kitchen. I'm just so amazed to experience a space that was in your head. And I was like, invisible. So we're gonna try the dish now. So drum roll.
Awesome.
Should we try?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm really excited to try it, especially the bread.
Got to get a bit of tomato as well.
Yeah, this tastes really good, guys. You need to try it. Please follow the recipe and make it yourself as well at home. I'd be very surprised. It's very good.
Oh, that's lovely.
This is what I really want to try. The breads. I've been talking about this bread the whole time. So I'm very excited about that.
Very good.
Yeah, that base is very nice.
Nice and olive oil.
So, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us today. Sorry, still eating. I just want to say a huge thank you to... Sorry, start that again. That section. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Royal Institute of British Architecture for sponsoring this year's series of Cooking with an Architect. Please make sure to check them out and their London groups across the UK. And also as well, if you want to find out more about Holland Harvey and what they do, their description will be in the box below. And also more about Shelia and her website and more about her initiative, what she's doing. Her descriptions and their website will also be in the box below. So thank you guys and stay tuned for the next series. Can't wait to see you. Bye.
Thank you.
It was great fun. It was really appreciated having the opportunity to talk about the work we do here. Also particularly keen that young architects and placemakers will perhaps learn from the experience that we've gained by working with Holland Harvey to build somewhere that's beautiful and sustainable and really takes the needs of people experiencing homelessness absolutely at its heart and at its core. And I'd love them to maybe come and join us, volunteer with us. Be great. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Today's episode has been an absolute joy to do. It's been so lovely to have the chance to talk with Chun-Li about Shelter from the Storm and the work that we've done here and the wider, work that we do, and I guess just the experiences of being a young architect and finding your way in a big industry. So it's just been a real pleasure, and thank you very much.
Today's episode was so amazing. I learned so much from Jonathan and Shelia about Shelter from the Storm and the initiative of why they actually designed and created it. It's just mind-blowing to see that, the social impact and what we need to do more as designers and architects, especially with our skills to help those of vulnerable communities. And also cooking this amazing bread. I was so excited to cook it today, so it was really good. Yes, I really enjoyed it. And guys, please tune in and watch the episode. It's going to be mind blowing. I'm pretty sure you're going to love it as well. So thank you.